So they're expected to come with that experience with respect to their own budget, and then they hear this. So when those amendments were made, was it in consultation with their ministries, the ministers, or is it the task force? Or did the National Assembly just make this correction and then send it to the executive arm of government for implementation?
I think the question that you should be asking is that when they were preparing the budget proposal that they brought to the National Assembly, did they prepare it in consultation with members of the National Assembly, or they sat down in their ministries and departments and prepared it? So if they didn't consult members of the National Assembly before preparing their budget proposal, why are you worried about whether members of the National Assembly consulted them before making their inputs or preparing their reports? I think it's been unfair for someone to look at it from that perspective. Also, don't forget, I don't like saying this because it puts us across as being arrogant because of the powers that we have. But the Constitution is very explicit about this. The Constitution vested the power to appropriate on the National Assembly. Go to Section 80, Section 81 of the Constitution. It only said the President should present estimates, just estimates, to the National Assembly. The National Assembly has the power to increase the aggregate expenditure. The National Assembly has the power to increase, to enlarge the revenue framework. The National Assembly has the power to reduce the aggregate expenditure. The National Assembly has the power to reduce the individual envelopes of ministries. When we decide to consult the executive, we are doing that in the spirit of friendship, not because we must do that. We need to get this very clearly, and that is why continuously Nigerians are being misled. The powers to appropriate, to allocate funds, to move funds however we want it within the budget lies in the National Assembly. And the people who made the Constitution weren't fools. They did that because we're elected officials. It is clearly known that we relate with the people of the grassroots. We relate with our people. We know their needs. Now you could have a civil servant who doesn't even go back home, who doesn't even know what the people want, sitting in the ministry, prepare his estimates, send it to the National Assembly, and you come. I think we really need to get the whole of this process, how everything works properly, you know, so that we stop this issue of the members of the National Assembly consult the executive before sending the proposals.
But again,
we don't have to consult them.
Nigerians are asking.
It is just out of friendship.
A minute here. Clearly, this budget is coming back the way it is. It's coming back to the National Assembly. What kind of politics is the APC leadership giving to the country now? Because this is April. Back and forth, a whole lot of stories concerning this budget. First, we heard it was missing, and another time it wasn't missing, and we had all the back and forth like a yo-yo that between the executive and the legislature. And now that everyone thought it was going to be a done deal, is coming back to the National Assembly. What politics are we seeing here? Our understanding of the budget.
Well, we've always tried to make this very clear to Nigerians that when it comes to the National Assembly, one thing a lot of people do not understand is that the National Assembly is one. And especially when it comes to budgetary issues, we deal with it with the lens of being Nigerians, not being an APC member or being a PDP member. The deputy chairman of the appropriations committees of both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives, are all PDP members. So we're working as a team, as a group, united. So there is no politics in this. And sometimes, Suleiman, I get very worried. We don't enjoy all this talking all the time in the media, arguing, going front and back. We've done all we can to assist this executive arm of government. Look at what we've done. There's never been anything that they brought that was not approved by this National Assembly. Now, in the past, sometimes when I meet ministers, I tell them, these things that it's happening now, it wouldn't happen a few years ago. In the 7th Assembly, you bring a budget and you say you want to replace it after a week, you try to take it through subterranean means, then you come back, your ministers come to the National Assembly again, deny it, then you still have the audacity to now say, oh, National Assembly did A or B wrong. We clean up the budget for you. A lot of things were not in the budget. We included it.
For instance,
now the major policy thrust of the president is security, anti-corruption, economic diversification. All these things were dislocated in the budget that came to the National Assembly. We corrected it without making noise. The personnel of the security agencies were all mistakenly reduced in the budget. We have to restore all the shortfalls. Same with the anti-corruption agencies. When you go to economic diversification, what the government is saying all the time is solid minerals, solid minerals, solid minerals. When you take away from the 9 billion allocated to the sector, when you take away the recurrent expenditure, that is the overhead and personnel, you have only 2 billion. So the budget team are telling us that we need 2 billion naira to diversify using solid minerals.
Tell us then.
We came up with a special idea to introduce.
Honorable, quickly, just tell us then, because one of the ministers we remember very clearly saying that the budget that was presented to the National Assembly wasn't the budget that his ministry prepared, is the Minister for Health. He was heard very clearly saying that that wasn't his budget in the National Assembly and, you know, ostensibly presenting whatever it was that was supposed to be right. Now we understand that that the money is meant for the procurement of polio drugs and HIV, you know, retroviral drugs were also removed from the budget. One of the reasons why he denied that budget was because of that particular reason. Tell us, how do you react to the fact that that was also taken out of the budget?
Incidentally, the Minister of Health is my very good friend, but unfortunately, we are talking about facts here, and I have to say this very clearly. That is not true. And that's part of even the issue that I tried to address yesterday. The vaccines were not even included in the original budget that came to the National Assembly.
Which he said was true.
The Joint Health Committee of the House and the Senate. Yeah, it's not true. Go and look at look. These documents are there in the public glare. Go through it.
Honorable, I'm not sure that
the
you
Health
quite
Committee
understood me.
Of the Senate.
Sorry to interrupt you again. He said that one of the reasons why they had to deny the budget that was presented to the National Assembly was because those overheads were not there. So he said that could not have been from his ministry. So ostensibly, the two of you, the two arms would have worked together to ensure that those budget lines were there. But in the budget transmitted to the presidency now, they're saying those lines are not there.
If you were patient enough, I would have come to that because it's a two-edged question. I wanted to deal with the aspect of the vaccine, then come back to deal with the aspect of a minister denying the budget. The aspect of the vaccine, I want to make it very clear here that the budget that came from the executive didn't come with a provision for those vaccines. Those vaccines were included in the budget by the two committees of the Senate, Health Committee of the Senate and that of the House. They're the ones that created that item and included it in the budget. That aside, now, which of the budget did the Minister of Health denied? It wasn't the first one, mind you. It was the second budget that the president said, look, now this is the budget that I want you, National Assembly, to work with.
So let's quickly answer this one.
Just within that week that the president brought it.
Sorry, Honorable, are those lines now in the budget that you sent back to the presidency?
The next time you interrupt me, you have to pay tax.
Honorable, I'm afraid
I said the next time you interrupt me, you have to pay tax.
We are about to close this program, and I'm sure that, you know, we're almost out of time on this one. Is it now in the budget that was sent back to the presidency? Can you confirm that to us?
The provision of the vaccines?
Yes.
Of course, it's included. The complaint the minister is making, so that just for you to understand, he is saying that the money allocated for the vaccines is inadequate. But he has no justification to complain because it was not even included in the original budget. It was the committees of the National Assembly that included it in the budget.
In other words, I mean, could you then tell us in conclusion, because the country needs a budget to run. This is April. What is the way forward? What should be done now?
Of course, two things. One is if we do nothing, what will happen? If we do nothing, of course, in the next 2 weeks, the period will lapse. And of course, automatically, the National Assembly through two-third vote can pass it. Of course, we can veto it. There's a limit that the president can withhold accent. If we decide to do something, the president will have to communicate officially to the National Assembly to clarify the areas where he has issues, and of course consultation will be opened between the officials of the executive arm of government and of course the National Assembly, so that these issues will be resolved. So it can go either way. If nothing is done, this is how it will go, and of course if something is done, this is how it's going to go. But the most important thing is that I strongly believe that in the next couple of days these issues will be resolved, and of course the president should be able to accent the 2016 budget so that we can make progress.
Honorable Abdul Mumin Jibrin, Chairman, House Committee on Appropriation, thank you very much indeed for talking to us today. All right, and well, we do expect and hope that the executive arm will then get across and then respond to the messages sent to them, and then, of course, get clarifications on the issues raised by the House of Representatives, represented by Honorable Jibrin. We'll be back in a minute to have another perspective on the same matter. Don't go away.